I think that's working. I think it's working. Do you know I do this every week? I fail to mute these tabs. There we go. I've muted all the other tabs. If, by the way, you are on this call, Anchen or Paul or Bernhard, and you've got echoey sound, it's probably because you've got another tab open and there's some audio going on in there. Hello, everybody. WP Builds weekly WordPress news coming to you live from all sorts of different parts of the globe, which will be an interesting discussion today. I'm going to talk about the weekly WordPress news. Let me just see if I can find this banner. It's for the week commencing the 9th of March. So yeah, just basically since last Monday to this Monday, that's the stuff we try to limit it to, but we don't always succeed. And if you wish to make comments about this, I've sort of switched the system around a little bit. The only places you can really do that now are on our Facebook channel, which I post the feed for that at wpbuilds.com/live. Those comments should come through. But also if you join us in our Facebook group, the shortcode for that really is /Facebook, wpbuilds.com/Facebook. Then you can comment in there as well. So we have a comment already from Todd. Hello, Todd. So we know that there are people in the United States paying attention. Be interesting to hear your take on the what we're going to talk about a little bit later, Todd. And let's introduce everybody, shall we? Let's go around one at a time. Say hi, say who you are, what you do, and so on. I'm obviously Nathan Wrigley. And over there we have Anchen Roux. Hello.
Hi, yeah, I'm Anchen Roux from South Africa and run an agency called Simply Digital Design.
Okay, and down there we have Paul Lacey. Hello, Paul.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm all right. And look, you get a special mention. Look.
Oh, I do.
Didn't say hello to anybody else. Just you.
Just me.
you're very important.
Yeah.
No elevator pitch. No kind of like.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Go on. I'm
ready.
So,
Paul here from Dickiebird Studio in the UK. We're a WordPress agency, and I'm also a brand ambassador for RunCloud.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's great. You're in a very dark place today, not in any sort of philosophical sense of the word, but you're in a slightly darker place.
Yeah, I wasn't until you made me close the window. So hang on, maybe if I move that, then I'll.
That'll work. If you do that, that'll work nicely. Look, Carl says specifically not hello to anyone else. That's great.
Look, it's still coming through.
We've got a user coming in from Ireland, but we don't know who they are. There is, by the way, if you're in our Facebook group and you see this, there is a little link I think that you've got to press. The StreamYard, the platform that we use, tells you you've got to give permission to the app. I think that's how it works. Anyway, if your name doesn't appear next to your comment, that's why. Oh, Anchen. And last but by no means least is, where is he? There he is, Bernhard. How you doing, Bernhard?
Oh, quite good. Greetings from Austria. Everything fine here. I'm working for MQD, that's a small agency, and I'm doing a lot of community support and stuff for pods.
Thank you very much. Doing the good work, fighting the good fight. Kyle's saying you're right.
Yeah.
As always, Nathan. Kyle, I am very rarely right, as you're about to find out, as I give some spurious opinions about WordPress. Speaking of WordPress, let us add in what we're all on about. This is our website, wpbuilds.com. Just thought I'd mention we've got this latest podcast episode, number 170. Me and David are going to start debating rather than agreeing with each other. We're going to start falling out, and so this was our first falling out. Should you use page builders or the block editor? Go find out. Well, we clearly don't answer that question, but nevertheless, if you go to /subscribe, sign up to our newsletter, that's this one. Or if you want to find out about WordPress deals, you can use this one. Podcast players can be located here, and Facebook, you know how it goes, all of that sort of stuff. This little link here will get you onto our news archive, and we're all about the animals from now on. We've had koalas, we've had impalas, and then this week it was mouse. This week's WordPress news was called Mouse. And this is it. So if you want to follow along, it was number 105. And as always, I've shared the links about that with the people who are joining us today, and we're just going to natter through it all. If any of you guys who are on the call with me, so Anchen, Bernhard and Paul, if you want to interrupt at any point, then go for it. Should we start off with the first one here, which is WordPress 5.4 Release Candidate 2? There's only really one thing I think worth mentioning here, and that is to say, well, if you want to beta test it, go and do that. That might be worthwhile doing, but there's very, very little that has been kind of updated. It's we're very, very close now. Hopefully by the end of this month, we'll have a new version of WordPress 5.4, and we are now just really onto the snagging list. But this is quite an interesting piece. I don't know if any of you three had a chance to read this. This is Justin Tadlock on the WordPress Tavern saying that new users, it's hard to describe new, it's not really new users, but if you are using WordPress for the first time and a number of other conditions, you won't get the sidebar. They're taking it away from you. When you edit the post, Bernhard's gone to assemble some IKEA furniture very quickly, everybody. That's why he's disappeared. And he'll be back with a wardrobe momentarily. Look, he's going to mute his mic.
Not. I will listen. Maybe I chime in.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. The anyway, the block editor is going to default into full screen mode, as you can see here. The sidebar will be gone, and oddly, this little arrow, which Justin kind of thought, well, that'll take me back and give me the sidebar back. It actually doesn't. It just sends you to the posts or pages section of your WordPress website. Now, here are the caveats. The editor will be full screen if the user is opening the editor for the first time in a new installation or is on a new device, or whether WordPress resets a user's preferences. It's hardly big news, but I don't know. Is it significant? Is it of interest or not? Paul, Anchen?
I think the news about what the feature is not really the news story. I think the story is that we've been talking about 5.4 Alpha 1, Alpha 2, Alpha 3, Beta 1, Beta 2, Beta 3, release candidate, and then everyone's tested that, and then Matt Mullenweg has put this one in off his own choosing. So I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing. Like I understand that we're supposed to think that when he does that, it's a bad thing. But I'm not sure if that's how I feel about it. I'm quite happy with how he's done stuff over the past, but I know that there's definitely a lot of unrest every time he does something that is just like, I'm doing it. I don't care what the user people say. I'm going to skip all the beta testing, all the user testing. I'm just chucking this in the release candidate. It's going in. So the story to me is really that it's not a new feature that they're putting in. It's that Matt Mullenweg the story is like more reason for him to have people complain about him.
Yeah, exactly. Let's share the screen.
He doesn't care. How calls it? Benevolent dictator?
Yeah, benevolent dictator for life.
Well, I mean, sometimes you need people like that to get a project forward. Sometimes it's... but, well, people rarely knew what they need. It sounds a little bit like Apple. They didn't do much research either.
Todd says Paul always has a different idea on things, which is, I guess, what Justin was saying here. But the thing is, though, he did kind of disobey the rules, because the rules are if the code is frozen, then it's not supposed to have any new features added at all, and they are the rules, you know. But he said, so Justin says, some people were not happy with the timing of the code change, regardless of their feelings about whether it was a good decision to switch to a full screen experience by default. The change was slipped in 3 weeks after feature and enhancement freeze for WordPress 5.4 development cycle. And he just basically said, he wanted it to happen. So in it goes, which is interesting. I think you're right. That is quite an interesting little story. I'd forgotten about that. Anyway, you're going to get this new full screen editor. So if you've been making YouTube videos, tutorial videos for your clients, go and make them again, because they're all going to look different from now on, which is slightly annoying. See what other comments we've got coming in. Rules are for people who follow rules. Yeah.
There's some good comments at the bottom of the article itself. If you want to kind of see that, I mean, what I really like about Justin's articles is if you write a comment, there's a really good chance he'll come back with a satisfying answer to your comment. And so I really like that he creates these articles and then really does get involved in that discussion there.
Yeah, look at him. He's prodigious, isn't he? I mean, certainly towards the beginning, he definitely gets stuck in. Look at that. Just reply after reply. Good for him. Anyway, okay. Anchen, anything, or should we move on? Okay, let's move on then, in that case. So the next one is all about community, and it is kind of dominated, as you may well imagine, by the somewhat the somewhat international news about the coronavirus and what have you. And it is to say that WordCamp Europe, this is the first one we've got, WordCamp Europe has been postponed. It's interesting. I didn't want it to be postponed, but I think it's the right decision. But I do like the fact that it has been postponed. And by that, I don't mean cancelled. So the intention is, I don't know what the dates are. Maybe they provided them in the article, but I've forgotten what they were.
No.
No dates. Okay. But they're gonna stick with the same venue in the same location. So basically, you can just move your calendar on another year. And obviously, the great hope is that at this point, everything will be back to normal. But if you'd planned for a trip to Porto and that was somewhere where you really were looking forward to going, I think Porto looks like a fabulous place to spend a bit of time, then it's going to happen. And you've just got another, well, let's say roughly a year to wait. The other bit of news which came along with that is that, well, a bunch of us were going to be cycling from Berlin, the previous location of WordCamp Europe. We're going to cycle the 3,000 kilometers to the new venue, and it's been cancelled. To be honest with you, even if we wanted to do this bike ride now, I think the impediments and the obstacles thrown up by government would make it nigh on impossible. Even if we wished to do it.
Any border, no.
Yeah, I think the borders have largely been shut down. So yes. So anyway, sad news. But again, maybe the fact that it's been postponed and the location is the same will mean that WP and will endeavour to run this again next year. Interesting. Go on.
You should probably just go and do it anyway, because by the time you get there, it will probably be in time for WordCamp Europe 2021 anyway.
What are you saying?
No, I got mixed up. I've got complete faith that you'll be able to do that ride.
Yeah, I've got a bike with tiny wheels, about this big. I go about half a mile an hour. No, I think it was the right decision on both counts. And obviously, you could repeat this same story about cancellation or postponement across the entire industry and across the entire world, every industry, I'm sure. I mean, let's get into this, because there's heaps more. I would be interested to know, maybe if we just go around in the way that we introduced ourselves. So starting with Anchen, do you want to just tell us the current state of play from your experience in Southern Africa, South Africa at the moment with the virus and what have you?
Okay, so I just checked. So our latest numbers 62, but it doubled over the weekend. So it was only 23 on Friday. So it's quite a big jump, but it's still only like people coming from overseas with it. So we haven't had any local transmissions yet. But as it's only our first case was just a bit more than a week ago. So it's not really, it might be that people are infected already, but they've already last night put in place state of emergency. So we've got schools closing tomorrow at 10. We've got all events cancelled, bigger than like weddings, everything bigger than 100. So we're basically, in a state of borders closed, 35 of the borders closed. No one coming from anywhere. I think from any of the 12 or something high-risk countries are allowed in. Visas been cancelled. Yeah, so it's going to have a major impact on our country, because we've already been in a bad, since the beginning of the year, it's already been not good. And so that's, it might help with the curve and things like that. So I just think it's a little bit early, because there's people now self-isolating for 2 weeks, but by the time they might come out of it, now it's actually going to, but I don't know. It's a little bit weird now. And they're just on WordCamp Europe, so I don't know yet, but they are thinking of having the same speakers as well, because I've been accepted as a speaker, and then obviously not. So they say they're going to try and see if they can keep to the speakers already confirmed and stuff like that. So we'll see. We haven't had the final announcement yet.
Well, in so many ways, if you're still willing to speak next year, it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? You've probably, given a great deal of thought to what it is that you want to speak about, and you're ready. You just didn't get a chance to do it. So in many ways, they'll have less work on the organizational side next year. And if you're willing, then that's good. I confess I had forgotten that fact, Anchen, that you were doing the speaking. So that's interesting.
Yeah, we're not allowed. I don't think there were any announcements yet. We're not allowed to announce before it's actually officially announced, and it never was. So yeah.
Okay. Oh, but now we know. now we know. That's good. Okay, Paul, give us the lowdown in the UK. What's your experience?
I think there's a good comment by someone, Facebook user. It says, everywhere in Europe is shut down and locked down. England, wash your hands and sing happy birthday. So that's our approach at the moment.
No, sing happy birthday twice. Come on.
Twice, yeah.
Reasonable.
Or the national anthem. So I think I'm probably just like a lot of other people I've just got this underlying slight anxiety about it on a permanent basis. And, as an agency owner, a small agency, just three of us, a business owner, let's say a business owner, I think of all the other business owners, and it takes me 2 seconds to think of one type of industry that will hugely suffer. Another 2 seconds later, I can think of another one. So with lockdowns and those kind of things, whether lockdowns happen or not. So that's what's on my mind the most. I think of all the suffering that is probably going to happen outside of actual illnesses and deaths. I just get concerned for the whole economy as a whole. But yeah, in the UK, it is kind of strange seeing the rest of the world doing a different thing to what we appear to be doing. But I get this sense that every day we're a day or two away from a more strict lockdown. But I don't know. But yeah, in terms of WordCamp EU, it was definitely a good idea to cancel it. I don't know, Anchen, were you relieved when it was cancelled?
No, not really. I was still at that stage. The day it was cancelled, I thought it was too early to cancel. I was still thinking no, by that time it's going to be all sorted and stuff. But now it's a different story.
Yeah. So that's what I'm mainly worried about. Just if I was the speaker there, I would have been concerned, and personally, I probably would have wanted it to be cancelled because I'm not used to doing lots of traveling, and I would have felt quite nervous of being away from my family and everything. But yeah, I think it was the right decision to cancel it. No doubt, everything's getting cancelled, and the sooner you do it, the more it's in your hands. At least you can start making plans for the next year as the event organisers. And in terms of the bike ride getting cancelled, it still achieved a goal of raising the awareness of European Up. So it's totally out of your hands that you can't do it this year, and you've got a year to reflect on everything that went into the planning for that, and you can tweak and change as you need then for that as well. So it's still done a job. So some good things have still happened.
I think I'm going to suggest next year that we change it from Porto, the pub in Porto somewhere, to the venue. That's going to be the bike ride, and it's going to be 3,000 centimeter. Yeah, it's going to be a 3,000 centimeter ride, not kilometer ride. Oh, did I really press centimeter on the keyboard? I meant to press K. I pressed C when I was organising. Yeah, no, I'm joking, of course, but yeah.
Well,
okay, Bernhard.
Have a lot more people then.
Yeah,
I might.
Yeah. Well, there'll be. Yeah, that's true. Actually, even though it was organised not particularly horridly, there will be a lot more awareness by this time next year, that's for sure. Bernhard, Austria, what's happening?
Well, we're basically on lockdown. I mean, I think we're one of the quickest or farthest in Europe to close everything down. So everything is closed besides grocery stores and all that you need on regular basis, like car repairs and stuff like that, so that everything can work. And the rest is closed. You are not supposed to be with other people. And that's it. On Friday there were a little bit of empty shelves, but it was restocked quite quickly. So I think we're very good prepared in Austria. We always have a good system, and that's the times where we're very happy to live here and not like anywhere else, or because I think there might be more issues in other countries because we have a good health system. So, and what's the right thing to do? We discussed it before the show a little bit. Nobody knows for sure. It's guesswork, and it's looking to China, what happened over there and how it worked out over there. What does Korea do? So I wouldn't be surprised if UK would switch a little bit around with the politics, but who knows? I mean, in Austria it was like a slicing tactic. So 1 week ago they started to slightly announce more and more stuff that is going to happen. So like, well, next week we'll close schools, and the day after we'll close the schools for the young ones, and then it was like please stay at home, and every day they added a slice more to slowly get the people there. Okay, that is serious business, yeah. And I think many people still don't get this will be not over in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because take a look at China. It's been 3 months over there, and they are still not really allowing people in. If you come to China, you have to go 2 weeks into quarantine still. You have still lockdown in the bigger cities. They are slowly beginning producing again, which is good for us because many goods coming from over there will rely on. But it's nothing we need to fear, because it's not like the Spanish flu where many people die. It's just, yes, people will die. I mean, it sounds so horrible. I don't know how to call it, a little bit sarcastic to say, okay, people will die. But in the end, it's part of the life. And if we can manage in UK and in Europe and everywhere to separate like elderly people, which have a much more higher chance to die, then we might get lucky and get by in some way. And well, in the end, it's epidemic, and well, deal with it.
Yeah.
Try to continue the life. I'm sure we yet don't even know what's going to happen economically wise, because we are all so much interlocked. And if like the mom and pop stores go away, then the jobs for maybe some IT guy go away, and then he has to cancel his services. And that's a real snake which is happening on side effects and rebels. It's not easy for a government to stay ahead and on top of it and steer us in the right direction. But on the other hand, I mean, we had like Chernobyl, we had the big from Syria, all the people coming to Europe, and everybody, oh no, and how we will survive with that, and the shelves were emptied in there too, and in the end, well, not really that much happened. I mean, sorry, it's a bit sarcastic, but I'm not sure. So I think the important thing is looking forward, think, okay, what can we do? So like in Austria, it's all they tell you, stay away from other people, keep your distance. And that's the easiest thing to do. Think for others, because if you live with your parents or have people who are at risk, don't expose them more than necessary. I think that's in the end very easy to do. Yeah.
The analogy that you described earlier of like the slice of a cake, or a little slice here and there. I think the UK government's tactic is just to get the entire cake, and then just drop it all in one go like that. And it's fascinating. I mean, basically, life is going on completely as normal where I live. Nothing is shut. Every shop is open. Every school is open. Every pub, bar, restaurant, cafe, everything is wide open like normal, and it is confounding to me, because I don't really understand. On the one hand, I see what the international community are doing, and I see that everybody in all the other countries which are similarly affected, in other words, at the rate where we appear to be now in terms of infections and how long it's been here, all those other countries seem to have a much more vigorous locked down approach, whereas we don't. And then I'm torn by the by the bright, clever academics who, politics aside, and whether they're stood next to a politician of your colour or not, these people are independent, bright scientists who are basically driving these decisions. So I'm torn between faith in the science of those clever individuals and what all the other people are doing. And it feels to me like we're going the wrong way. It feels to me like what could possibly be wrong with a lockdown approach? What harm can come, apart from feeling a bit lonely and, maybe, the economy has become stagnant for a little while. I just can't see the harm in that. Yeah. And yet everything's open. I just went to my local chemist half an hour ago, and there were people out walking dogs. It was exactly the same as every other day. There was not a hint of difference. And here all the shops are full of food. There's no hit on the shelves or anything. So what's the phrase? The something before the something, the something before the storm, the eye of the storm.
I think,
calm before the storm. Yeah.
Calm before the storm. Yeah.
Fast forward 3 months, and we will know the answer.
Yeah.
If I understand all the experts, because they are all talking and everybody says it's slightly different, and everybody has another opinion. I think many factors are not yet really known because it's been 3 months. I mean, it takes time to investigate properly.
Yeah.
But I get the feeling that no matter what you do, it seems like at least half the population will get affected one way or the other way.
Yeah, I think it's the approach. Yeah.
The approach is just to keep the total number at the same time at a lower rate, which makes sense for me. But maybe I'm no medicine guy. So
no. And that is the problem, isn't it?
Could work out. Yeah.
The medical understanding, I have almost zero understanding of this, apart from the anecdotal little tidbits which I've managed to pick up off the news. Very, very little. And so it is basically the press and wider reading that I managed to do that gives me my opinions on this. And the British system is what we're getting fed. So only time will tell. On a slightly more positive note, I believe this might be Peacher who is writing this, and I can't comment because I haven't opened the link, but she said, piece of good news for parents with restless kids at home. This website, formerly behind a paywall, is now free and has great activities. So please, if somebody has put in a naughty link there or anything malicious, I do apologize. I'm just putting the comment up, but hopefully that's a nice resource for parents. Speaking of nice resources, I've noticed that over the last few, let's say 72 hours or so, quite a few of the big tech companies who are providing solutions like we're using right now seem to be kind of stepping up and helping out. So I noticed, for example, that TechSmith, who have a load of video sharing software, they've made their premium versions free until the 30th of June, I think it was. Loom, which is a way of sort of capturing your screen and then sending a video to somebody else. It's not live streaming. They've made I think they've halved the pricing for their premium offerings or upped the limits or what have you. And then there was a whole bunch more. I saw a ton more things which had been reduced in price or made free. So that'd be quite nice. If anybody wants to put any of that in the comments, that would be really nice. Do you guys know of any tools which we might, as a community, make use of in this time?
It's a bit like Black Friday, isn't it? But with a different motive, which is really nice.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I think Chris Lemmer released 2 of his books for 95% less about remote work and happiness. So
yes. Yeah, I did see that. Go to chrislemmer.com. I think 95%, that rings a bell, off his remote working books. And there's probably some others, I would imagine, as well. Let's see what we can find in here. In Ireland, okay, so I don't know if this user is in Ireland or is just commenting on the fact. In Ireland, all pubs and restaurants are closed, all schools are closed for the next 2 weeks. Okay, that seems to be a pattern that's emerging, doesn't it? The approach in Canada is to flatten the curve, not necessarily to prevent infection, but to slow it so that the healthcare system can catch up. You see, that's what I've been sold that the UK is doing, but clearly not in the same way.
No, the UK isn't doing that.
No, interesting. Let's have a look. Oh, this is nice. Another nice philanthropic thing. One of the biggest TV cable providers in Canada has added family and children channels for free. That's nice. Yeah.
In Austria, they're changing the TV program for educational stuff in the morning.
Right. Oh, so it's more like homeschooling kind of type of
it's in Austria. They are, at least until Easter, every educational whatever thing is closed except for cases where people can't take their kids, so they keep it open, but they don't do stuff over there, just taking care of them. But most of the stuff is going online. We are educational platforms, all different kinds.
It is quite interesting actually, because obviously having worked with things like video conferencing and what have you, and I'm sure that the same way that you guys have all done, it's really common to me and second nature how to receive a link for a Zoom call and begin a chat and make the camera work and find the chat that I want to contribute to and paste links and all of that. I mean, it's just so easy because I've done it so many times. But I think for those people who are suddenly being forced to step into a remote working environment, that must be pretty alarming. You wouldn't even know the names of the software for a start. You might be completely unfamiliar. So I think it's going to be time for all of us to start giving our expertise. Maybe that's something that us as professionals in this area, maybe this is something that we can actually do quite well. You know, we might not have the medical knowledge, but we do have the knowledge about stuff like this.
I've seen some posts in various Facebook groups sort of debating around how can we talk to our clients at the moment, and they've ranged from anything from sending a guide. I've seen somewhere sending a guide to how we use remote working tools and advising on the obvious problems that you can run into from time to time, to, you know, should we be helping our clients by helping them switch to digital more with things like e-commerce if they're local based clients? Is that the right? So, and also I saw some people were kind of torn on whether or not that was even ethical. And so, but there's another article, isn't there, further down somewhere in the list about working from home, and I think it's by Matt Mullenweg. But I think one of the biggest problems companies I think will have is not just the technical challenge, which you can get around fairly quickly, but it's I think you have to have a certain culture in your organization for it to work. And if you don't have a culture of trust within your teams, then it's going to be very difficult to do that. If you are a kind of what you call bums or asses on seats type office, and you need those people there, and what do they call it? Management by walking around.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that for a long time, but that came to mind. And we've all heard of things like stand-up meetings on Zoom, where you all go to a meeting and just say what you have. But those are terms that we know that might not be obvious to people. So you've got Zoom, you've got the product, but then how do you organize the same kind of virtual structure that we've known about for years with stand-up meetings and quick check-ins and Slack and all these different tools? So, good comment from Kathy there.
Yeah, sorry, I'll put that back up. I think we have to be really careful not to profit from a crisis, but the intention is important. This is an area where we could shine.
On the other hand, I mean, it's business, to be honest, and in every crisis, there will be people who lose and other people who win. I mean, you don't need to overcharge them, but if you deliver a solution for them, which might not even help them just in short term, but that might help them long term, you're not doing a bad thing or benefiting from anything. Maybe many of those companies missed already the point to think about digital working and trust and how they perform their work, because it's getting more and more remote and mobile and all that kind of stuff. So And on the other hand, many of our agencies will lose business because if a shop doesn't sell anything anymore because it's closed down by government, they don't need your services currently. So, I mean, you have to survive too. So it's, yes, you have to be careful in thinking about what you're doing, but on the other hand, you have to care for your own people too. So it's always, don't have a bad mind or a bad feeling because you profit from something you do properly. It's not like you're buying it from the shelf, the toilet rolls, and going outside and selling them twice the price.
I think the biggest concern that I've got is, and the sort of slight worry is that we're entering a period of history which, in my lifetime, and I think probably the lifetime of my parents, who were born just as the just as the Second World War was coming to a close. So they didn't really feel the impact of that apart from in their very young years. So essentially we've got two generations of people who have experienced abundance, real abundance in life. And obviously more recently we've had a really capitalist market-driven economy where we've been encouraged to consume as much as possible, get lots, and then if you can possibly do it, get a lot more. And I'm wondering what that's going to look like. The mentality, that the mind shift, the more the requirement to be more community based and to be more thoughtful about taking things off the shelves. I'm just hoping that there is enough humanity spread out amongst us all that continues to work, as opposed to the darker side of us coming out and taking as much food off the shelves as we possibly can at the detriment of everybody else. And it's my fear that we don't have a past to draw on. It was interesting that the UK politicians keep referring to the kind of like that we've been through this before as a nation. They keep saying, and I keep saying, well, yes, the nation, the word Britain has been through this before, but nobody that I know, none of my peers or my peers' parents have been through this. So it's going to be really, really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's still a very Europe-centric point of view, because yes, we don't know it, but many others which will be hit by this, and we don't even know what happens in Africa, or I don't know, in America, because they seem to don't take it seriously either. So I think we just get a little bit frightened currently, but it's still, everything is fine. I mean, there's food, there is security. So I think and still people try to grab stuff. So if it's getting a little bit worse, I think humanity, it's quickly clambering, because, well, we don't have these really sense, or many people, they care for their family or their local community, but not for everybody else. It has been the same with foreigners which are coming, and it's so funny. If you have one in your town, everyone wants to protect them because this is the good one. We know him. And everybody else, which we don't know, we don't care for. And I think maybe that's something which is our heritage, because how did mankind evolve, or how did we live for centuries?
Yeah.
It wasn't in big cities with not knowing who's around us. It was in families, in clans. And there was this tight companionship, but that's a thing we lost.
Yeah. This has quickly descended into the WP Builds COVID-19 update, hasn't it? But I hope you guys don't feel too aggrieved. I think that was worth mentioning, to be honest. If you, I don't know if I want to post this next piece, but I'm going to say it anyway. Why not? This is Joe Casabona, who is making the point that if, for example, you were going to be one of the sponsors at WordCamp Europe, there are other ways to repurpose that sponsorship. If you don't want the economy to dry up and you still want to get your message out there, he's mentioning podcasts, which obviously I'm a big advocate of. But it's the bottom line is go and find somewhere else to repurpose that money. If you've got your sponsorship money and it's all set to one side, go and find somewhere else that you can spend it. This is Justin Tadlock.
Hey, Nathan.
Yeah.
That particular article, it seems to be a barking session going on
Yeah.
in my neighborhood at the moment.
Sorry.
So it's actually a really good article, I think. I don't think any sponsor's going to read this and react to it, but I think if anyone has got a podcast or any kind of digital show or something like that, or a YouTube channel, this article is definitely worth reading, because this is one of those things that sometimes out of the challenges that we've got, the creative juice starts to flow, and you have to step up your game. And this article is a really good way to show what you can do to advertisers to actually be genuine value, because advertising on a podcast definitely is amazing value for a lot of the reasons that, you know, big readership, lots of listeners, lots of trust, etc. But one of the problems is that it's still, when it comes to big money, perceived that a big poster in an event is a better solution, because that filters down from traditional ideas of what a good advertising campaign could be. So I think podcasts have been undervalued as advertising solutions for the most part, but this article has got some great ideas on how to actually show the value that you can actually generate with your podcast advertising.
Well, all I'm going to say is bravo, Paul. That's that's more podcast advertising. You know, come on.
It's the interactive side. You know, it talks about, for instance, that using your audience instead of just having, you know, the typical advert where you talk about it, that you can genuinely do things like host webinars and have special deals and stickers and swag that for listeners, and really build a community outside of a podcast audience that you wouldn't have either way. So I think that's it's a really good article. At first I was just like, no one's gonna spend their money on podcasts instead, but I read it and I thought, actually, this is a really decent article.
Yeah,
so well done to Joe.
I was reluctant to say it because it obviously feels like a bit of self-interest, but I thought it wasn't really about podcasting. It could have been anything else, and he's obviously got a podcast, so kind of worked out in that way. But just, you know, don't let that money sit dormant. You know, get out there and keep your messages.
Do you know
going,
any podcasts, Nathan?
No, not of any worth anyway.
No.
I can think of a couple, but they're basically not very good. I'll put my thinking cap on.
Okay, yeah, do that.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
You can put some of them in the show notes afterwards.
yeah. Anchen, did you want to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to say it's the same for virtual summits. So I was reading that, and it was also a really great article for me. I was thinking maybe to move my summit to earlier because there's not going to be any WordCamp. And then I was thinking that like having like virtual booths, like having having a session with a sponsor. So in the past I didn't really do sponsors, but yeah, if I were to do sponsors, you can have like, you know, virtual booths, or people can interact with the sponsors. There's a lot of things that you can do in a virtual summit as well. So just,
do you want to, because otherwise we'll be in the dark, do you want to drop the URL of the recent incarnation of your summit?
I don't have a recent one, so it's just because I was only planning it for, it's usually in August, so I was planning it for August, so yeah.
I thought you had one in the recent past.
Campaign. That's done tripping, so like it's a bit. Oh, we're all waiting. Next time when she's on the show, she might have a noodle.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to do it at all this year because I thought, it's virtual summits. Everyone's now doing virtual summits. I'm not going to do it this year. And then because all the camps are cancelled, I thought maybe I will. So yeah, so I haven't been very in conflict. But yeah, after reading, that's what I wanted to say. Is after reading the article, I got excited about it again.
Do you know what? Yeah. I think that virtual events are going to be the modus operandi for the next period of time, aren't they? You know, the notion of turning up and getting on a plane and going to, or even going, you know, within the same country to an event with a crowd of people is an absolute anathema, isn't it? So the virtual thing is great. Paul's acquired a dog. Go on, Paul. Hold up the dog. Let us all go.
There we go.
Oh, that's very nice. That's what we needed right now. All this talk of COVID-19, and Paul drops the puppy bomb. and everything changes. Yeah, that's great. That was nice. Okay, so there we go.
She's actually a fully grown dog, but she's just extremely small.
Okay, sorry about that. No offense to the puppy.
She's very angry. Look how offended.
Yeah, look at. Hang on, let's zoom right in. Wait. Let me go up close. Wait, go on. There you go.
Oh, look at that. She's not happy. She's not happy.
Oh, that's so cute. Right, advice for newcomers to remote work. This is Justin Tadlock, who is obviously trying to be helpful. He's trying to encourage people to think carefully about their embarking on remote work. And essentially, it's just a nice little piece of him saying, this is what I did. These are the things to be mindful of. And it's broadly in 2 areas. Get yourself organized, get yourself the right tools, find some structure to your day. Don't get up and kind of just play on Facebook for half an hour. You've still got stuff that you need to be getting on with, so get on with it. And then make sure that you don't let your social life drop too much. And obviously, maybe less trips to the pub, maybe less coffee shop outings, but using tools such as we are using at the moment, we can still achieve all that. So that was nice. And then that carried on. Which tab am I on? This one. And this was from Matt Mullenweg, that the guy who likes to push in things under the wire into releases. This is the same guy. You may not have heard of him. It's got something to do with this software CMS thing. And he's got this distributed podcast where he literally has been for like a year or more possibly talking about distributed work and how it's the way to go. So I actually think, from all of my stupidity just then about him, he's a real expert in this. He's probably one of the top guys on the planet talking about it, because he's spoken about it endlessly with lots of other professionals. And and I just need to put the comment in from Kathy about the dog. She looks like mine. Oh, you can't have her, Kathy. She's Paul's. What else have we got? I wanted to let's go back to normal. This is more WordPressy stuff. This is, God, it kind of feels like WordPress has suddenly dropped in importance for me over the last 10 minutes. Do you know what I mean?
Why are we even talking about this?
Yeah.
I thought this was a coronavirus podcast.
Yeah.
But 6 months in the future, it's your job again, or your income, and maybe even on the way in the next month, because many shops may be needing a little online presence because they discover, I have closed my store, but I can sell online. So there are many who are starting, she sells wool to a friend of mine, and she started to contacting their people over WhatsApp and sending them pictures that they can pick their wool, and then she's sending the wool. So people get creative, and there are solutions or opportunities.
And you're right. We've got to keep focused, haven't we? Because it will become our industry once again in its normal form. And this is the HubSpot Academy. It's a very short course. It's only 3 lessons, 16 videos, lasts just over an hour, and it's for you Elementor people. Elementor. It's a course about building websites with WordPress using, and it's put together by the HubSpot guys. I confess I haven't gone through it, haven't really looked at it. But it came across in my email, so I thought I'd mention it. Free course, can't be bad. Where are we going from there? That's all of our kind of WordPress community stuff. There's literally tons more I could have put in there about the virus and events and stuff, but I thought we'd stop there. The next one it's all about plugins, themes, and blocks. Look at that. You gotta love that. This is Justin Tadlock again. Look at the cursor. It's so good.
It feels like in the 90s. We're just missing the flashing background in yellow or purple. And we're back into the fun area of the web where everything was bright and funny and playing around, because currently all pages look the same. Everything looks the same.
Exactly. So this is Justin using, I'm presuming, Gutenberg to create some crazy stuff over here, which is lovely, and all of this sort of stuff. And it's about this guy called Hamzy. Now, Nick Hamzy? There we go, Nick Hamzy. Apologies, Nick, if I've pronounced your name badly. And his various projects to basically spark a bit of life and a bit of a bit of interest into the web. And if imagine you went into like an art gallery and you were presented with the top 100 websites or the top 1,000 websites or the top 1,000,000 websites, and they were all pictures of their homepage I think you'd get a fairly similar diet. So just a bit like Bernhard was saying, I think very often websites look quite similar now, don't they? And his idea is, let's just shake it up a bit. So he's got all these fascinating little projects to cheer up the internet. I'm not going to go into them, but just click on the links, find out what this guy's up to, and embrace yourself. I mean, look at that image, and just embrace what's the word I want to use here? I don't know, but it's embrace the sort of kitsch or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny they've used a mushroom for the icon as well, because it does feel kind of psychedelic. But you're right, the web is quite boring. I mean, my wife comes home and she's like, "How was work today?" And I'm like, image left, text right. It was all right.
Yeah,
and it's just hero banner. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Today was pretty exciting. Sticky header.
Yeah, much better than that. Well, anyway, this guy is going to throw a tool of spanners at your website projects. Just crazy stuff like this. I mean, look at that. That's a plugin. It just to basically jazz up your images in a really, really gnarly way. Just fascinating, and a whole ton of stuff. He's got this project where you can put memes. You can just write on your pictures. So rather than just being normal images, you can stick memes directly onto your WordPress website images. I just thought that was lovely, really nice. And speaking of really nice, now we go from one extreme to the other, because from this totally bizarre, now we go back to what you were saying, Paul, about image left, text right. Here we are, image left, text right, boxes, rectangles, interesting, but, fairly ordinary stack of stuff. But I like it, I've got to say. It's a ton of Gutenberg blocks, stackable, which I confess I've kind of gone under the radar. There's a whole different, I don't know why, but some of the other projects making Gutenberg blocks have got into my head more, and I know their names more. But stackable is right in there now. Now they've got this design library. There it is, 100 blocks, all categorized, as you can see on the left. It looks, excuse me, it looks like the the layout you'd expect from Gutenberg these days. But there are 100 for free, covering just about anything. Sure enough, compared to Hamzy's stuff, they're a bit tame, but they probably are going to solve a significant amount of the actual design things that you want to build. Text left, image right, as you said, Paul.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there you go. Fascinating, eh?
Nathan, I think you need to self-isolate, dude.
What, my coughing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what? As I coughed for the third time, I was thinking, that's 3, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, don't say that, Paul. I'm going to have a glass of water and hope it goes away.
I got your logins for StreamYard. I can handle it.
That's fine. Shall I go now? Shall I just leave the chair?
You'll be okay for now, I think.
I'll sit like this. All that stuff. I'll self-isolate. Anyway, nice, sweet stuff. Anybody want to comment on that?
Premium version as well. So it seems that, I mean, their website's super nice, actually.
It is.
Website.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like a gold rush for blogs that nobody knows who will win and what will survive in the end. It's really crowded, and I have no idea. Well, I'm not really using Gutenberg, still a Beaver Builder fan guy, but let's wait until the dust settles.
Yeah,
39.
It's like someone said. It's almost like the toilet paper rush, but for blocks, isn't it? Just these companies just going out.
Definitely.
That was what I was thinking.
Yeah,
toilet paper rush, but for blocks. Yeah, I like that. That's great.
It's inside the world of. I mean, it's these people can obviously repurpose everything they've done for the future when it all settles down. But it feels like the whole block design library type stuff. Is a bit of a mess at the moment. In not the designs. The designs are wonderful, but just the like you said, the chaos of like we're doing this because we think it's the future, so we're going to chuck loads of stuff out there, hope people buy into it, but then it could all change. Depending on whether or not like your episode on last week for the podcast, the block editor versus the page builders, and which horse are you going to choose?
Yeah, I'm going to choose with the horse that David Wormsley isn't on.
Yeah,
that's all I can say. Whatever horse he's on, I've got to be on the other one. We basically toss a coin. Neither of us believe what we're saying. I shouldn't have said that. Damn. We believe firmly in what we're saying, and we didn't toss a coin to decide who would be on which side of that argument. But we did toss a coin, and so it goes. Right, okay. WooCommerce, Do the Woo by Bob WP. WooCommerce has got it's got this sort of like admin interface in core now. I'm so not a WooCommerce user, so all of this is a bit of a mystery to me. But you've got this admin interface.
They basically added a new feature plugin, I think 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago.
Yep.
To change and improve how your admin displays the stats and all the quick view or the glance, and that's now part of the core. To be honest, I didn't switch to 4.0 myself because you never know. First release.
Yeah. That's my understanding of WooCommerce.
Bumpy road, and let's see how it works out. But they're moving fast in direction of improving WooCommerce and making it more interesting for bigger brands. Still not sure how it will work out with BigCommerce and all the other players around trying to somehow integrate into WordPress. It's interesting times. I mean,
The slightly more in-depth technical explanation of it was offered up by Justin, as you'd expect. He talks about the admin, what you've just been describing, this being merged into core. So you've got this display of graphics and what have you. And then he goes on to talk about some of the more technical changes that have taken place, the updating to the onboarding process and various other things. Anyway, it's all in there. If you're a WooCommerce user, 2 articles linked today. This is quite nice. Andre Gagnon from Project Huddle has, I think if I can just remove that modal pop-up, this is the kind of the feature that he's touting in his latest release of Project Huddle. He's got this customizable, so where it says ACME Acme, I believe you can drop your own logo into there. And this is now the little toolbar. It collapses to basically nothing, and then it opens up and you've got these different options. There are many
more changes on the hood. I mean, I'm using it.
Yeah.
So like filtering for assignments or users, so you can now in the sidebar, if you open it, look at it, and nice little tweaks. I mean, it's funny to see WP feedback and Project Huddle like adding features, and funny to see how it works out or who stays ahead. It feels like a little bit like Beaver Builder and Elementor. Project Huddle was first, Beaver Builder was first, and Elementor was more the shinier tool. I'm not sure how it will work out with WP feedback, because I'm sure the user base is ahead of that from Project Huddle, but I don't know. I stuck with Project Huddle. Paul, we had this huge discussion about it. Still not sure if I did the right call, but for now I'm very happy how it is moving on.
I would be happy with either
approval. Approval for the website, so you can approve either one side or the whole website. So
it's just a little toggle there, isn't there?
And you can agree to terms. And you can make it so that it can't be unapproved once it's approved. So it's quite helpful, especially if you have clients who, I want to change, now you have approved it, thank you, goodbye.
That's thanks, bye. Done, approved. Yeah, there's loads of little things though. Here's essentially it's a bit like Time Machine on the Mac. You can go through your list of all the comments and attach screenshots, and like you said, loads of filtering options that he's added in. Added an undo button in case you created a comment that you didn't like. Hide all the comments and so on. And it's not this is not the beta release. This is it. It's out now. So Project Huddle users, and plenty to rejoice.
What I like with Project Huddle, it's self-hosted, so it runs on your own WordPress installation. And if at one point they decide, okay, we don't want it further, you still can continue your work with your own.
You make a dedicated website, if you like, for Project Huddle, or at least that's the way I would imagine it. Publish Press. I'm not going to dwell on this in all honesty, but they've got some new feature releases. This is for people who are working in a team and want to publish a bunch of stuff. So I'll just mention there's a bunch of deals. It seems like WordPress deals are all the rage over on AppSumo. There's a whole ton of them there. I mentioned Loom lowering the prices and TechSmith, and we had a couple of others mentioned as well. Loads of deals, tons of security
MailPoet
news.
is an interesting one. MailPoet has I think had a huge discussion around it. And
That was you and me again, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But I think it's the same in the community because we're all not sure what happens with it, if it's a good idea or not, because you can send all your emails basically with their sending service. And on the one hand, it sounds like a super sweet deal. And the other hand, if your account gets banned because you get too much rejections, it seems to have a very strict policy. So
Yeah.
I personally got one because I think it's a very easy thing, because I know email marketing should be on its own platform, but you have all those small clients which don't really need that big fancy stuff. They just try to send out their newsletter because they don't care about more of it. And I think for them it's perfect. I mean, for those of them you trust, or maybe have your your maintenance service and add this as an add-on thing. I think it's a very, very interesting opportunity. Still not super sure about it, but it's at this very sweet price point. I mean, that the deal is per site, so you have unlimited sites, and each site can have, I think, it's the starting
5,000
point?
was it?
5,000 subscribers. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah,
Plus
it is
it
a lot.
also takes care of all your transactional emails. That was the exciting thing for me, because Mailgun has recently changed its terms and conditions around its pricing. And so the most boring thing for me every time I launch a website is doing the Mailgun DNS. And it's just so boring. It's just so now I know this is technically overkill to use a email sending service within WordPress to take care of your transactional emails, but for the time being, until I really have time to figure out a replacement to Mailgun, I've been installing MailPoet on the new website, so I've been launching and using it just to send out those transactional emails. And like Bernhard said, I think if you do have a website and a client just needs a really simple lead generation thing with maybe 2 or 3 follow-up emails coming out, not a whole newsletter system, just a simple funnel on a website, it is actually quite a good solution for having those couple of emails generated from within WordPress using the MailPoet service, and not having to, with that particular client, have them go off and set up an account with MailChimp or MailerLite if they haven't got one already. You can set it up nicely in there to do those things. So
or for
it's
example,
a good deal. Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know.
We're using it for a bowling community, which they're sending out their lists with it, because they're posting it on the website and it's posted and it's sent via email. Job done.
Nice.
Yep.
Just I would just caution on giving it to like really disreputable clients, because they might just trash the whole thing for you.
Yes.
You need a clean list, but I mean, to be honest, if you're in Europe, that's anyway a mandatory thing to have validated emails and and it's not about getting marked as spam. It's about sending to non-existent emails or blocked emails or stuff like that, which gets you banned. Was the clarification on their AppSumo page.
Well, it's a good deal, that's for sure. There's a whole bunch of them on there. What do we got? Wishlist member, MailPoet, WP data tables, Happy Forms, WP Foamify. There's a load of security news. We simply don't have time for that now. We're running over. I did a podcast with David Wormsley. No, it's all right. It was a good episode. Did a podcast, as we said, with David about Gutenberg and page builders and so on. And then quickly mention this. This isn't going to work, my link, because I'm in an incognito window and not logged into Facebook. But if you click on this link, a UK chap who's been on the podcast, Stuart Bramald, he's got a developer job available for UK residents who are, in inverted commas, expert with Beaver Builder or Thema. I honestly don't know what it's about, but just if you're in the Facebook group, click on that link and you can communicate with Stuart and find out what it is that he wants. And he's offering fair money, I think, for his position, so that's good. And then we've got some pieces here, not WordPress, but all about coronavirus. So let's not go there again. Should we knock it on the head at this point? Yeah. Okay. Right. I'm on the wrong screen. I'm trying to interact with the screen because I can see my mouse on. Anyway, you can only have that problem if you're me right now. Here we are. Thank you very much for joining us this week. Traditionally, at this point, we've talked about like what it is that we're doing this week. Anything totally off topic, whatever you want to say, or say nothing. But let's start with me, I suppose. I'm going to be, obviously, after coughing 3 times just then, I'm going to be sitting in this room for the next 7 days, I feel. I shouldn't make light of it. That was a cheap joke. I apologise. That was ridiculous. Anchen, what are you doing this week?
Sure. Yeah, the whole school closing was a bit sprung on us. So, but yeah, so I still need to find my bearings. But I'm thinking just of doing like courses and stuff, while I'm at home and not having a lot of work at the moment.
Yep.
Implementing funnels.
Okay. Paul?
I just got a busy week at work. Lots of calls to have and lots of work to get done. Got a big website launching tomorrow at midnight. So we just got to get that on the server tomorrow in the daytime, and then the coming soon thing we'll take down at midnight. And then there's a box down there that I've been told that if I don't sort the box out with my various junk in it, which is a collection, it's a box of various junk from everywhere over the last 3 months, and I've got to sort that out. So
you backed away from that sentence. You said, I've been told that if I don't sort this box out, but you never finished. What will happen?
I don't know. It's just it's unknown what it is.
It's not going to be good though, is it? It's not going to be good. Yeah.
No.
So as soon as this call's over, I want to know that you fixed that box. Go and sort that box out.
It's just there isn't a place for the reason that stuff was all distributed around the house because there isn't anywhere I've got for it. So
okay. Very quietly then. Top tip: put it all in a different box.
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't think
of that. Put that box somewhere else.
It's like juggling.
You're going to buy yourself a whole week that way. Yeah.
Like when people juggle credit cards.
I mean,
I could just put it back where it was. Yeah.
Total confusion. Put it into 2 different boxes. Yeah. Come on. You don't like that one. Bernhard, what are you up to?
Well, you told it beforehand. I got a big IKEA delivery, and I'm going to sample some IKEA stuff. Yeah, hardcore. And for the rest, it's just stay home, stay safe.
Yep. Okay. Well, good luck. Good luck with your IKEA stuff. Good luck with your boxing, Paul. Good luck with your looking after your kids at home, Anchen. Thank you for joining us as always. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna mute everybody's mics and I'm gonna put the screen on. Oh, look! Before that, Leo Mindel says, "Enjoy the autumn weather."
It's still summer, yeah. It's gonna be still.
Yeah, that's nice. And Leo joined us about 5 minutes ago and said he's late to the party. Indeed. Right, I'm going to mute your mics and say goodbye. But stay on the line, you guys, if you wouldn't mind, and then we'll just have a quick natter after the fact.